Vlog 2 of the bariatric story that I'm doing, and I'm going to talk a little bit today. I've got this notebook, the Patient Education Handbook. I'm going to talk a little bit about some things. One thing it says is to tell yourself a story. Well, I'm going to tell you the story, I guess. They're asking questions to sort of give some answers to or to think about prior to the surgery. Oh, by the way, my surgery is tomorrow, January 23rd, 2012. Today is January 22nd, 2012, and before anything else, I want to give a shout out to Joe Paterno. Certainly a person that a lot of people have different feelings about, but a person I believe was a very good man who lived a life that was pretty much a model. And one of the things he always said was to believe deep down inside that you were meant for great things. And I would encourage everyone watching this vlog to feel that way and to think about that. And for those of you who are Penn Staters, Joe, I believe in 2009 at the football eve, he said, "We are Penn State" is more than just a slogan, it's our heart. And I believe that too, to a certain extent, that, we are Penn State is more than just a slogan, it is our heart. It is about a way of life and a way of being. And while some people have fallen short of that, it doesn't deny the validity. In fact, all the more it means that we need to be serious about trying to make sure that no act of ours brings shame to one heart that loves the name of Penn State. Joe, sorry that you're gone, and I thank you for all the years that you gave. So before I start talking sort of about my own personal history, I wanted to go over some things. Trying to decide to have bariatric was a really interesting thing. For me, it didn't come about because of any health issues that had risen. I think for many people, that may be an issue. It wasn't even a body image issue. While I do, I recognize I'm a big guy. I've never really had a hang up about that. I have been a big guy for most of my life. The thing for me was about a year ago, my mother had passed away with lung cancer. It was a very fast moving cancer, very much like what's occurred here with Joe Paterno. So this has been a little bit of a flashback to all of that too. And her last wish was that I have the bariatric surgery. My older brother has had the gastric bypass, and it worked very well for him. I think he may have had some other health impacts that led up to it. I actually am very healthy right now. I dance 4 to 5 nights a week. I do ballroom, Argentine tango. I ride my bike periodically, and I was riding it regularly when I was a little bit closer to school. We moved, and we're now a little further away, and there's a bus that I've been taking. But I do try and get in a good amount of exercise every day. One of the things they found when they did all of the tests to lead up to this bariatric was that I actually am in very good shape. So this is maybe to be seen more as proactive. I had to struggle really heavily with the question of, do I do surgery at this point in time when I am relatively feeling good and healthy and exercising? And I think what I came up with is it is a proactive thing to take care of some of these things. It's also honoring my mother and my father and their wishes. But I think those are important things to consider in life. I think for my family it's a struggle because they've seen me struggle and deeply with these issues of how and whether or not to and when to, and feeling a little bit pressured. And I want to talk about that pressure because there is also societal pressure. I know that there are studies that have been done that show people who are heavier are not as likely to get the job at the interview. That there are things that count against them. I know finding clothes has been a nightmare a lot of times. And then even finding clothes that are decent is always a challenge. Seats in airplanes, we've all heard the stories about those types of situations. Trust me, it's no more comfortable being the big person in the seat than the person next to them. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being able to ride roller coasters, things of that nature again, and I'm certainly hoping that my dance will improve with the loss of weight. Okay, so that's just sort of give a precursor. There are societal issues and there are cultural issues here, and I think there's issues of power. As an adult educator, I have to look at these things and realize that, to a certain extent, I am giving in to a entrenched system of power that really doesn't see what I am or the way I look is beautiful, or desirable even. With that said, again, that is the reality, that is the society I live in. And I did notice something the other day. I've been trying to somewhat adapt my diet to begin to adapt to this future diet. And one of the things I discovered in doing this was that I had eaten very lightly and been doing the vitamins and the water and drinking 64 ounces of water and all of this stuff, very light meals. And we decided a few days ago to go to Pancho's, Mexican restaurant. Love Mexican food. Not the best Mexican food, but good. And I ate a lot. It's a buffet, and you pretty much eat what you want. And the thing I noticed afterwards is I didn't really feel as well. I'd begun to feel that my body was more in tune, and so my body was beginning to be more. I felt more energetic and better without having eaten as much. So there is an interesting aspect to that I look forward to. Sorry. So sorry about yawning. Okay, so the questions. What was my early life like? Oh man, what was my early life like? It's a really good question. If somebody could tell me, that would be great. One of the challenges I have is I'm a third culture kid, and what that means is I grew up everywhere. I think I had 18, 19, maybe 20 different places I lived before I turned 18. My early childhood is a blur. My father was military, very proud of him. We traveled. I was born in Costa Rica. We lived in Venezuela and Panama and Thailand and Georgia and California and Nebraska and Missouri and just all over the place. I think something like 12 states or something like that. A lot of different houses. My family hails from the Washington State area, but we visited there off and on while my dad was in, specifically when Dad was in the war in Vietnam. But it's very difficult for me because I don't think I have as concrete of memories as what people who live in a more stable environment do. My memories are very much like my life. They're full of movement and flashes of imagery. I remember distinctly getting off the plane in Thailand and just the different feel of the place, the different odors and stuff. And that's one thing that stands out is sometimes when you go from place to place, it's not just the visual images that change, it's the odors, it's the ambiance, it's the entire, the sounds, and getting used to that and being able to adapt to that as you go from place to place. My basic values and beliefs is I am a Christian. I believe that basically the mores of the Bible are the standards by which I guide my life. Does that mean I live up to them always? No. Very similar to what I said about Penn State. We struggle with the fact we're humans, and we do things sometimes that don't line up with our mores. And as Christians, I think I often hear people talk about Christians being hypocrites when they engage in sin. But I think for Christians, it's a struggle with sin because we do things that we don't think are right sometimes. But that doesn't mean that we don't think that there's a right behavior. It means that we think that we've done something wrong and should feel guilty about it if we misbehave. But that's just my basic values and belief. I think, the basic principle of Christian living is, to love God and love your neighbor. And those two things are things that I attempt to do. The other aspect of it is there's a description of heaven that says it's neither male nor female, slave nor free, Greek nor Jew. So that basically heaven is, there's no economic division, there's no division based on gender, there's no division based on class and race. So I think race, class, gender, those are some of the really big issues that come up in looking at critical theory as well. So my basic belief are people should be treated with respect, regardless of their origination and their gender or anything else. How has weight affected my life, health, and relationships? Health, again, I think the only thing I've really noticed with health-wise is I do use a CPAP, I snore. So I think that's the totality, I think, of my health impact. Sometimes my back hurts and stuff when I dance a lot, but my daughter, who's in a lot better shape, is taking belly dancing, and she has muscle pain when she dances. So, relationships, I do think people look at me and see the weight a lot of times, and sometimes that bothers me. So I think there are relational issues of how that works. My main struggles with food and eating, I like food, man. I like food of all kinds. I tend to probably eat a little bit too much when I do eat, and I think largely because of my schedules. Another thing I've noticed is I've started being more intentional about this whole diet. I don't want to say diet, lifestyle change, this way of eating and living. Is that simply, a lot of times I get up in the morning, I'm tired, I wake up and I head straight to the office. I'll try and grab something at lunch, but sometimes I'll skip lunch, I'll work through, or I'll just grab something fast and eat, basically scarf it down. And then a lot of times at night, that's a big meal. And I think that also is something that's really contributed to my weight gain and retention, is the fact that I'm doing most of my eating, in the evenings, often having not eaten during the day, and that probably was not a great relationship with food. And I think work does that to you sometimes, and your own sense of pressure that you carry into it, and I think you have to be more mindful about those types of things and not allow that to happen. I don't blame any of my work situation. I think I blame myself for allowing that. And certainly you have to really kind of think about making sure you incorporate food in a reasonable way. How do I want my story to change after my weight loss? Well, I want to be a sexy beast. No. Jeez, that sounds horrible. No, I really don't. I'm hoping I live longer and I'm not burdensome to my family or anybody, and that I'm hoping my dance really improves and that I can really maybe get some better movement going on the dance floor, with ballroom especially, tango as well, but just to be that, and I really kind of hope for more energy, a more positive attitude, It'll be interesting to see because I'm not sure all of what I expect out of that. My basic values and beliefs, I don't think I want to change. It's asking me, do you want to change your basic values and beliefs? No, not at all. I think I'm going to stick with those. I'm going to try and continue to care about people, care about my relationship with God, maybe care about myself a little bit more in the process. What makes my life really worth living now? My family. Without a question. I love my family immensely, and my relationship with God, of course, is there, but it all ties together to me. I really want to be there for my family, and they are what inspires me. And even when others have sort of pressured me one way or the other, the acceptance and love I've gotten from my wife and my daughters and my son have just been incredible, and I appreciate that, guys. What motivates me towards success? Wow. If I'm going to do this, my attitude is I want to be the poster boy. So let's see if I can actually pull that off. I tried to get into the military during Desert Storm, the first Desert Storm, so that's dating myself a little. I lost 60 pounds in 2 months. With this, I'm already exercising, a lot. I already have the whole dance thing in place. I like to roller skate occasionally as well. I hope to be able to start riding the bike to and from work. That'd be, about 4 or 5 miles of bike riding a day. I guess, I don't want to do this whole surgery thing and have it just be a waste. So the motivation for success is to, to really succeed and to do well. And in what areas of your life must you truly be outstanding to fulfill your destiny? Wow, it's sort of like that goes back to that Joe Paterno quote about, believing deep down inside that you are destined to do great things. What is my destiny? I honestly believed for years that it was going to be that I would be a preacher, that I would share the gospel with people and let them know that, my understanding of our relationship with God and how much He loves us. And at this point, then I went through different phases. I'm ABD for my doctorate. I would love to get that finished. My hope is that both with God and man, that when my life is over, everyone will feel like I've done something worthwhile. And while there are going to be some black marks on that scale of my life, I hope that a large part of what I've done carries on after me. And in order to fulfill my destiny, I think I need to really believe even more. I think I have to get hold of myself, do something, find something inside of myself that I can grab hold of. And I am my own worst critic. I look at myself a lot of times and I feel as if I failed when I know that I've done very well with the situations we've been handed. And I do know one thing. I did fail in college when I first started to college, and I figured out that if I just kept going, I wouldn't be a failure because I'd eventually succeed, and I did. I eventually figured it out, and my hope is with life and this whole destiny thing is that I'm going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I'm going to plod, just like William Carey, the father of modern missions from a Christian perspective. He said, I plod. To me, it's that putting one foot in front of the other that gets you to your destiny, because you eventually do figure it out and you learn it. I guess that's it for right now for Vlog 2. The only other thing I want to do is say, if anything should go in a negative way or not work out, you always go in under surgery, you're a little bit worried. I have that same fear that I think most people do. It's not surface because thousands of people have done this surgery. But the fear is just to make sure that people know. I want to tell my friends and family before I go in for the surgery that should anything negative happen, if I see the light, whatever. But guys, thank you so much. You've really been there for me, my friends, my family. I've gotten phone calls from so many people this weekend. I've been supported by my family. I want to thank everybody who's been so supportive. I'm looking forward to, a good surgery, coming out and getting back on my feet. I may be a little bit, well, I know I'm going to probably be in a little, as they put it in hospital lingo, I may be uncomfortable the next time my video blogs. Take that for what it is. I'll try to keep a more positive attitude as I go. But there is going to be some times where I know those types of struggles will be there. So, thanks again. Make Crandall out.